Hi everybody, Marissa here with Adobe Photoshop for Beginners lesson number 8, and today we're going to start understanding adjustments. The first adjustment we're going to deal with is the levels, and I'm going to show you the various places where you can use the levels and which is probably the best way to do it as far as I can see. So let's just go and open up the first photograph and find out exactly what levels are. So all the photos that we are using today are going to be in a raw format, and the reason I'm using them is because I want to take the actual photo that I basically used and didn't do any changes to, except for removing the chromatic aberration. Now I know that if you are a beginner and you're just starting off, you probably don't know what the raw format is, but that doesn't matter for today because we will go into a whole lesson about that. And by the way, if you are a photographer and you're learning photography, please start photographing in RAW. It's the best way because it's giving you a lot of possibilities to carry on changing your photographs before you even open them up. And that is a good thing. So I'm just going to go and remove the chromatic aberration and just open. I haven't changed anything else. It is as it was photographed. Now the first, the area that we can start doing our adjustments is image adjustment. And here we have many kinds of adjustments that we will get into. But today I'm starting off with the levels. So you can go to either Control L or Command L on the Mac and just click on that. Now this is a histogram that actually shows me what levels my photo has. So this is the black area and this is the white area, and a good histogram would probably start off slow at the black and go up in the midtones like it is and go down in the white. So I'm not perfect, this is a bit off, but it's not terribly off. In order for me to change that, let me show you how I can do it, and I want to explain what it actually does. So I'm just going to close this off for a second, and I'm going to find a black area, taking these bricks and looking at these dark areas. Probably this one's going to be the darkest. Let's just go to the eyedropper and click over here. Now I can see my actual area over here. I'm just going to move this down a bit. If you go between windows, these are each little windows, and you have that you can just like drag down and then see it much more accurately. So notice that my blacks, the darkest black, is actually a dark gray. They aren't blacks. There's nothing here that has black in it. And this we're going to shift. So I'm just going to go and show you more of the photo and show you how it does shift. Going back to my levels, I go to image adjustment and levels, or Control L or Command L on the Mac, and I'm going to move this black area to my darkest gray. My darkest gray starts right over here. You can see that little line. So I'm going to go and move that, and what I'm doing is I'm telling the computer to make that darkest gray now my black, or a darker black. And I'm just going to do OK, and if we see, I'm going to go to Control Z. So that was what was before. Notice that it's lighter and not as contrast as the one that we just created. Now my whites are also off, and I can show you that also with using the eyedropper. And if I go to my lightest part, notice that I don't really have anything that is close to being over here. It's gray. So if I do want to contrast it more, get more black and more white into the photograph, I need to also adjust those white areas. So I'm going to go back into my levels, and I'm just going to move this. First I'll move it until here, and let's see if there's any change. I don't think there is much. So I'm just going to carry on a bit. And notice whenever I move either the white going in or the black going in, my mid-tone one moves as well. So I can also adjust that. But let's just go back a second and see the difference between what I started off with and what I created. So I'm just going to go undo levels, undo levels. This is what I started off with, and this is what I got. So it is better, and since I don't have total black here, I haven't actually damaged the photograph too much. It's dark, but it's not total black, and the white is not totally white. So I am in the range of having a gray scale. Now if I wanted to, let me just show you two more photographs. One is going to be an overexposed photo and the other one's going to be an underexposed photo. So I'm going to start off with the underexposed photo. File open, and let's just take this one over here. Now underexposed means that when I was photographing the actual photograph, my meter, my light meter, was not in the right place. I underexposed it. I should have exposed it more, and if you go to my photography lessons, you will learn all about that. Those will be coming soon onto the internet. So once again, I'm just going to remove the chromatic aberration, but I'm going to show you what that is. And I'm just going to go over here and notice that I have a highlight of red and a highlight of green, and it goes throughout most of the photo. Now this is because of the actual lens that I have and the way the light was shining on those lenses, and that's what it created. It's probably not the best lens that you could have, because in good lens you don't normally see this. You do occasionally, but not normally. Anyway, in order to remove that, I just go and click on this and notice that it's totally gone. I'm going to show you once again. That's when it's there, and that's when it's gone. I'm not changing anything else. I'm just going to open the photograph. So this is as it was photographed. And let's just see the histogram, what the histogram looks like. So adjustment, and let's go to my levels, and notice that the black part is got too much in it. It's got too much black, because the black should actually start right down here and then gradually go up to the midtones and go down to the white. And I notice that the white, I don't have it in the right place at all. So once again, I know this photograph is off. But in order for us to understand and fix it, let's first of all take the white parts and reduce them down so we'll get some more white. Now I'm not going to go right down to here, although it probably looks a little bit better. I'll just go a little bit down here. So I'll have that actual gliding from 0 upwards. Now that is fine that it's changed the white part, but what about the black part? All this area here is so dark and you can't even see what is actually going on. And these are shadows. This is not a black part of the photograph. It's not like the ear. And even in the ear where it's black, I should have a dark, I should have a difference between the parts. So the only thing, and I don't suggest doing this, but the only thing maybe I can do is shift my blacks in this area over here. So if I take this and I shift it, and let me just, you know what, let me just do OK on this and go to this area over here and enlarge it so you can actually see the shift. Go back to image, adjustment, and levels, and take this and shift it. Notice that I'm opening up the blacks, but it's reducing the depth of the actual photograph, and that's not very good. But we will do it just a little bit, just to show that you can adjust it a bit. I wouldn't go drastic in the blacks, and I wouldn't go drastic in the whites. Although occasionally you can do a little bit just to get what you need to get, if you have no other option. But if you do photograph in RAW, you will have other options. Take that in account. So that was an underexposed photograph. Now we're going to go to an overexposed photograph and see what happens to the blacks and the whites there. So I'm just going to open these two little monkeys, and this is like terribly done, overexposed. I'm going to remove the chromatic aberration, and I'm just going to go to open. And if I go to my whites, notice how white they are. I can see over here how white they are. I can also go into this area and notice that they're 251 even 252. So that's a lot of white. Now I'm going to go to the histogram and let's see what we can see in the histogram itself. So image, adjustment, and levels, or Control L or Command L on the Mac. And notice where our whole histogram has shifted. We haven't got any blacks over here, and we can notice that we've got grays. It starts off with grays round about over here, which is quite accurate. And the whites are really over. I mean, it's very, very over. But how can we fix this? So first of all, let's go to the blacks and reduce them to about here. And what it's actually doing is taking all those grays and turning them to total black. So I'm getting these blotches of black all around here. It's not the best thing to have, obviously, but this photograph is not in balance to start off with. And if I wanted to get some gray, a tiny little bit of gray, a light gray in these white areas, what I needed to do, I can't change it over here. What I needed to do is just to go and actually change it over here. And then I'm actually moving my grayscale, my whole scale, I'm moving from here. And once again, I don't suggest it. I'm just going to do OK. And I wanted to note something else. I'm just going to go to my first photograph and go to image and adjustment and go down to levels once again. Now, one thing that I can do is change each channel. In other words, my RGB, if I go into here, I can go to my red channel, I can go to my green channel, and I go to my blue channel, and these are going to change the colors of my RGB, of my actual photograph. So I'm just going to give you an example. Let's just say I go into my red channel and I start reducing this. Notice that straight away, as soon as the midtones move, that was a midtone that moved because I moved the white, but while I was moving the white, I also moved the midtones. So this changes the colors in the black, in the white, and in the midtones. It shifts everything. You can take this back a bit. What it is doing is it's distorting all the colors that we knew, because I don't know how accurate we can actually be, but there are other ways to change colors. I'm just showing you that this exists, and I'm going to do OK. Now undoing this whole thing. So before we carry on understanding other ways to use the levels, I just wanted to mention that a true good histogram is not what we have seen so far. So if I go back to the levels, when we started off we saw something like this, and we started reducing them and adjusting them. It's good to change if you need to change things, but the best histogram would be probably something that goes from the blacks, it's low and it starts going higher up, does all the colors that it needs to do the color correction, and goes down to the whites and just finishes off perfectly. That would be the best thing to have. Unfortunately, we don't always see that, and often when we start correcting, we change and distort things so much that we get out of balance. So take that in account, and this doesn't mean that you can't go out of balance. Of course you can. You can do whatever you want on Photoshop, but just note that that's what it does. So let me just show you other ways to change our levels and where I can find them. So I'm going to go to our actual layer, and I'm going to just undo that. Now I can go to my adjustments, and this adjustment will give me, I can do it over here from here, or I can do it from a different area. Let me just show you. If I go to my levels, this is my levels. I have everything that I have over here in my adjustments. I also have here, except for maybe shadows and highlights, and I'm not sure about the, I think it's shadows. I'm not sure if we got everything. We don't have everything, but we have most of the things. Anyway, I'm going to go to my levels and just click on them, and notice that as soon as I click on them, this window opens up for me, and I have a layer here. So this is a mask layer for a color. Let me just show you how it works. Now if I want this layer to change everything I've got underneath it, I shall leave it like this. But if I wanted to change only this one layer, just this one layer over here, the best thing to do is just to click on that, and it shows me that it's only adjusting this one layer underneath it. Now I can go and start changing it right over here, and changing it, say, over here. Let me just go down a bit. There we go. Now we can see. Oh, there we can see it. And change it over here. And notice that when I do that, I'm getting this triangle. And that means that this is not updated. So when I click on that, I will get an update of it. So I'll do it from here to say about here. And that's perfect for now. Now, how can I change the actual colors? So I can go back to what I had previously. So let me just click this off, and notice this is what I've got. And when I click this back on, this is what I've created as a level. And if I go to my actual mask and I take my paintbrush and I paint a certain area here, notice that it's going to go back to what it was in the beginning. So I'm actually getting what I have underneath here. I'm actually getting that part. So I can actually go in and change whatever I want and go over it. So that is a brilliant tool. And the best part is, if I make a mistake, as we normally do, I can go and change that and carry on doing whatever I want. This is the best way to use any kind of adjustment, if you can do that, because if you just save this work, you can always come back to it and carry on using it, as long as you save it in a PSD, which is a Photoshop format to keep layers as they are. You can also do the density of the mask. In other words, if you don't want the mask to be so dense but to be a bit lighter, notice that it goes lighter and lighter over here. And there is what is called a feather, so it will feather out the area that you actually put in. There's also more things about the mask, and we will get into that when I do a larger lesson about masks. Now, the great thing is that I can carry on adding on more and more things. So if this was the levels and I wanted to, say, do a correction of color, I could go in here and let's just go to color balance. I know you might not know what that is, but let's just do it for the fun at the moment. And then I can just go and add on cyan, or add on a little bit of cyan. I can go and make it add on more yellow, or a green, or maybe more yellow. And this is actually giving me the ability to once again create a level that will change the actual colors of what I've got. And if I want it to be for everything, all the layers I have here, I'll leave it like it is. But if I want it only for this layer, I will go, it's the layer that's below, one below, I'll go and just touch that, and it will be for that layer. And once again, I can go and color on this, so I can just take my black and let's just make it larger so we'll see the difference, and go and color over here. So I'm getting the actual color that I had in the beginning. This is a brilliant tool to use, so I suggest that you go and start playing around with what everything does. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will get into all the other adjustments that we have in the next few videos. So I hope you're going to join me in those. And if you haven't, please give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and have the best day. And that's all for now. So bye.